Ashley, your scrapping nerd, and I'm back today with a layout for Scraplift Crafternoon because it's Sunday, and all my peeps and I get together and we scraplift an amazing layout from an amazing creator. And this week we are scraplifting Kate from Crafty Queen, and you saw her layout at the top of the video, and I just loved her layout. I love the simplicity of it, and I was really going to try to be simple and not put all the things on my page, but you know how that usually goes. So, but definitely check out Kate, and all of her links are going to be in the description box below. And this is a fun layout. I pulled in all stash. So there was this paper here is a graphic 45, and it says Old Curiosity Shop Collection, and it's the only one I have. The little tag said $1, so I probably just got it somewhere at some point, like a thrift shop or something like that. And then I pulled in 3 other papers that probably came from a paper pad because it has the hole at the top. And I had separated my paper pads a long time ago, and I couldn't decide which one I wanted to mat my layout in. And so I was testing them here, and I actually decided to choose this one because I like the dark color with it. And I went through all of my Halloween ephemera, and I pulled out some bones that I had, and then I went in my tags and my frames and stuff, and I pulled in some frames, but I didn't actually use the frames. And I pulled in some journaling cards. Well, they're kind of like cut aparts. I think it was on a full piece of paper. Again, I don't know where it came from, but I had cut them apart. And I went and I typed up some little information tidbits on some vellum. And so that's what I pulled in, that you saw everything at the beginning. And so I'm just getting my layout matted here, and I got the back paper so that I could use that for the photo mat. And I'm going to ink and distress a lot of things in this layout. So, and I ink ink hard. I don't know if that's the word. Extra inky. So as I'm going, as I'm inking the edges, I'm not just doing the edge, I'm kind of pushing so it kind of comes up on the front part of the layout as well. And I do that to both of the the paper I got, and then my main photo, or my main paper for my layout. And I pulled in these bones, and I don't know where they came from. It's like one's glittery, one was flocked velvet, but I just turned them over and used the backside because they were white. And I used that Vintage Photo Distress ink, and I inked them completely. And then once they were inked with the layer of ink, I'm going to kind of crinkle them together and add a lot of creases in them, so that when I go back over it with the ink, it'll highlight those. And so the idea is I wanted these bones, because they were so stark white, I wanted them to look old. And so as I'm creasing them, then I'm putting ink in them, and the ink just kind of highlights those creases and makes them look a lot older. And like I said, it was fun to go through my stash and use up some of my stash. I kind of have, like, my collections are separated, because I used to not scrapbook in collections because I didn't have a scrapbook store, but now I do, and I feel like I support them completely because I have bought so many collections. I think they just celebrated a 3-year anniversary. So I have one part of my room that's the collections, and of course they're new and it's all fancy, and so I tend to always go towards there. And then the other part of my room, I have my old stuff that I did before I had scrapbooked in collections, and my paper pads that I took apart. And so I need to really start working through those things as well. And so I had went into all those parts of my stash and pulled things out, and these bones were in with my Halloween things, and who knows where they came from, but I at least got them used up, and I really like how this technique makes them look really old. And I'll show you here in a second them next to each other. so that you can kind of see here, it started the bright white, and then I distressed and did everything to them. And so I will do the rest of them the same way. I'm just not going to make you watch that. There's a lot in this video where I kind of cut in and out, because you don't need to watch me distress and ink every single piece on the layout, or do the same thing over and over again. And so I try to cut that out so you don't have to sit there and watch it. And then I took that background paper and I did the same thing. I just kind of crinkled it so that when I use my stencil to the background, it'll highlight the creases as well. In the end, you don't see much of this. And I really, this is where I was still going to be like Kate and do a very beautiful center down the center of the layout, and so then you could see all this stencil work on the side. Yeah, so I cover most of it. There's hints of it that sneak out, which I guess is the point, but sometimes I just laugh at myself because I can't do it, guys. I pull out stuff and I'm like, okay, because I was like, well, we'll just put some bones down the center where she had the leaves and it'll look really cute. And then I was like, oh, it would be fun to add the little information tidbits around. So I get all of this, and then it just kind of takes off on a mind of its own, and I just want to put all the things on the layout. So I still here have the hope that I'm not going to do that. And it's at the end of the video where it's like, yeah, well, you knew that was going to happen. You knew I couldn't just not have the layout covered every inch. But these are the photos that I am scrapbooking, and this is from the Natural History Museum in New York in the Hall of the Human Origins. And it's the picture of the Neanderthal, and then of course I took a selfie with him as well. And so I'm just going to put both these photos together, and I'm still going, in the center of the layout like Kate had. She had one photo, but I stuck these together and was just still going to follow that same down the center of the layout. And so yeah, I'm still not accepting that it's not going to be covered. And you could see that beautiful stencil work. But so I'm getting the photo matted, and I stuck them together, and then I'm just cutting it so that they're the same size. And then I will use the part that I got out from the matted paper to be the photo mat as well. And I like this kind of richer orangey color with the blue graphic 45 background, and then it matches with my bones, and I think it all came together really well. And so since this was in the museum, I had went and I got all the kind of information tidbits from there, and I printed it out on vellum, and that's kind of where things went off the rail. But I really like the idea of it being in my layout, or in my album with the museum layouts, and having just little information tidbits, because that's what the museums are for, is all the knowledge. And and I find the natural history museums are one of my favorites. However, I'm going off a tangent here, but I was just in Washington, D.C., and we went to the Smithsonian Natural History Museum, and I hate to say it because it's a Smithsonian, but the Natural History Museum in New York is so much better than the one in D.C. Now, if you like rocks and gems and everything, they have a whole top floor of it in D.C., and so that is really nice. But I really like the dinosaurs and the bones, and so I was a little disappointed. Not disappointed, that seems a little harsh. I had loved the New York History Museum so much that when we went to DC the next, just this past month, we were like, oh, well, that one's better. And again, still on my tangent, I thought from the night of the museum that the dinosaur, I thought that was what the Smithsonian in DC looked like, and it does not. And so we Googled it, and the dinosaur that's actually in the center in the Night of the Museum, her name's Rexy, and she's actually in the New York Natural History Museum. So they used her in the movie. And so I just was under this impression that when we went to the one in DC, it was going to be just like the Night of the Museum movie. But, oh well. So back to the layout. I'm pulling in all of those little cards I had. And this one on the bottom, it says, "This is me. My name is," and so I wrote the Homo neanderthalensis, which is what this one is. The Neanderthal is the nickname. And above that, on this little tidbit, I have like the nickname, Neanderthal, discovery date, 1829, things like that, where it lived, when lived, height, weight. And I thought, okay, I'm only going to put this here. But I had printed out a bunch of other little information tidbits that I will use these same cards. You see them kind of stacked on the left there, and just put them around. I wasn't going to use all of them. I had printed them, and I was like, well, I'll pick this one for this card for sure, I knew. And then the other ones, maybe I'll pick one other one. Well, I decided I needed to know all of the things, and so I will distress and ink 3 other cards and put all the information about the Neanderthals on there as well. And one of them, this one said friends, and so I thought that would be funny to put next to the selfie of me and the skeleton. I hope this doesn't offend anyone. I obviously respect the artifact and everything. I just love this stuff. So I took a selfie with him, and I used the bottom half of the card for one of the little info blurbs. And because it's vellum, I was using my little tiny attacher and just attaching at the top of the little cards. And I was going to go in my stash because I have collections that have like paper clips or little, office type things, but I figured I've probably put enough on this layout. So the staple, you can see it, but I think it looks good on there. And here's where I'm like, I'm just going to put all the other 2 on there. And then this card said time flies by in the blink of an eye. So I thought that was kind of funny too. And I decided to put it with the blurb that was talking about that it was first discovered in 1856 in Germany. And so I was like, well, that card works good for all of that information. And then the top one's just talking about their structures, their features. They had a huge nose for humidifying and warming cold, dry air, things like that. And then the bottom one is talking about the objects that they make, or that they actually think that they marked their graves with offerings like flowers, which I thought was interesting as well. So, that's what all of that is. And so I had to reorganize my little bones around so that I could get these little blurbs on the layout. While I'm doing that, because I'm going to shift things around 100 times, make sure that you check out all the links below. Visit Kate. She has a YouTube and an Instagram, and so her links are below. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. And then there will be a playlist for all of my Scraplift Crafternoon crafty peeps, and we all will scraplift Kate. And you can watch the playlist. Make sure you check out all of their channels, like and subscribe to them as well, and get to see how they interpreted Kate's beautiful layout. And I want to say thank you to everyone that has liked and subscribed to my channel. I really appreciate it. If you haven't yet, go ahead and do so below. And if you want to be notified when I have a new video, hit the little bell notification. And so yeah, and I just appreciate all of my new subbies that have subscribed recently. I have been really busy at work, so I'm trying to get to a point where I'll be able to scrap more and have more layouts. But I just love being a part of Scraplift Crafternoon, because no matter what, I know that I have set aside time to scrapbook, not to do housework, not to do actual work, not to do anything else, but I'm like, okay, I will be scrapbooking for my Sunday layout. So, and I just love all these group of ladies. So again, check out all the links below, and that's going to be the layout, guys, and I hope that everyone has a great day. Bye.